On this episode of Leon's Garage Adventures, now it's running, right? And the nice clip. Welcome to Leon's Garage Adventures, and today me and old Red are gonna be tightening up some stuff on the Fiero, and hopefully gonna fire her up. So I went through the harness, and it's sitting up top, but I picked out everything for the starter, the alternator, the AC, the vehicle speed sensor. Looking pretty all right. We're gonna do the oil line for the return for the fuel system here. I have a feed for the, here's my feed for the fuel. See that AN fitting up there right above the alternator? That's where I'm gonna cut it, put a fitting on it, and that's it. I'll check back in when we get some stuff done. We got the purple wire that's gonna go to the solenoid on the starter. We have the red wire with the boot that goes on the back stud, and we have the plug that's going to plug right here on the side. That's going to be for the alternator. There's a single wire just for the AC compressor. The last one had this plug on the back. There's no longer a plug there, so I'm going to just leave it, and if it doesn't work, then we'll have to do some more research or put my old AC compressor on. I think it was okay. I was just nervous because it was an original one, and I didn't want to redo it once it was in the car, because as you can see, it's a tight fit. Here you can see we have a good ass boy. We saved the original plug and the original block to power up everything. Basically what I did was go through and keep the sensors that we're using, and kind of just zip tied everything so it will go where it's supposed to go. We have the ones going down there this way, and then the other ones are going to go inside through the original plug. That's all this. Alrighty, starter wires hooked up, alternators hooked up, AC compressor check. Got pretty much everything away from the header. Basically I'm going to run everything where hopefully we can fire it up, and then after if we can get it running, what we'll do is go back and loom everything and cover all the wires. So as you can see, some spark plug wires on and the plugs in. So some of the spark plugs were too long the socket was too long to get onto the plug. And so I ended up cutting this down. Well, I made a boo-boo, because if you look, I cut that one down the same length, but it wasn't as deep. So it wouldn't grab the plug. So that thing was a pain in the butt. The rest of them weren't that bad though. Hopefully we don't have to change any out. Like hopefully it doesn't get flooded or anything, or foul anything out. We'll see. The harness is sprawled out across the back. This is for the terminator, fuel pump, tach, and power wire. There's also two other wires on the inside. One is a red with a white stripe, one's a black, and obviously ground and a power turn on. Over here in the original harness I have two grounds that used to go to the block, and I'm going to put those back on the head over here. The white wire is for the tachometer, which I'm going to connect to the blue out of the terminator, and this wire is going to be for the red and white for the power turn on. This used to go to the coil. Here's my plugs with all the cutout wires. What we're going to do is just de-pin them, take the ends completely out, and I have to do that to all three plugs. The inside, you can see we got a nice little mess going. There's my two little wires I was telling you about. That's a CAN bus there to plug in the screen. And there's a couple on the outside. On this plug, on the terminator harness, you can do inputs or outputs. So what I'm going to do with mine is I'm going to run, down here I have the flex fuel sensor. We're going to just run a wire into there and then do the set up the input into the ECU. This one's pretty cool because it actually comes factory with a fuel pressure sensor and also air temp and stuff like that, so I don't have to run a map. In the original harness, I have the plug plugged in to the original harness for the gauges and stuff like that. I made a boo-boo. These plugs actually go to the old ECU, so I could have just cut these completely out. But I will see if there's anything I can use to power stuff up or ground or anything like that through these plugs. So at least I can use some of the wires that are still left here. If I took them out, there actually would be a lot less left. But here's the two harnesses running through. I'm going to use the original connector that goes in there, pass them through and make it look good. Also going to cover all these wires up with aluminum. I just want to make sure that everything starts up, operates like it should, you know, charging, AC, whatever, and then I'll redo it. All right, so what we have here is a big old mess. Got the power and ground, the main one that goes to the battery. All this mess that I'm probably going to go ahead and cut out a bunch of this, and then the ground and the power, which are actually still in the engine bay, so I have to put those back in this loom, and then the rest of this loom, which I'm probably going to take this back out and try to tuck everything up under here. I guess we'll see. I have a ground wire and a power wire, and I'm just going to stick the battery here, get a little mini battery, build a battery box. I have temporarily hooked up the ground with a jumper cable. This is to power up the ECU. It says put directly to the battery, then the other one will turn it on. I guess that's just so that there won't be any issues in case there's a loose terminal or something. My power, I'm obviously going to cut it down because I don't need enough to go 10 feet past the car. I have the temporary wire that powers up the rest of the electronics. This needs to be a lot heavier. This is all I've got right now. It's like 10 o'clock at night. Everywhere is closed. So I'm going to see if the ECU powers up. Well, that's a good sign. We have a light for the first time. Oh, two lights for the first time in forever. Oh, okay. Nice. All right. Cool, so I guess I didn't waste all day. I need to disconnect it and go home. I'm tired. A few more things I need to do. This guy. How'd you make it all the way to the end without getting put on? So I have to take the exhaust off, intake. I'll probably lift it up, have someone slide it in, drop it, bolt it back down all the way. I'm gonna make a strut brace that goes across like I've been talking about. I'll probably do that after it's running. I need to make a mount for the intercooler here, probably down there, maybe in the back, so that the intercooler doesn't, right now the only thing that's holding it is the piping. So I need to get some braces for that. I need to find a small battery for the back here, make a battery box, fill it up with coolant. I put oil in it already. I need a dipstick. I don't have one, never had one, will. Need to get a heavier gauge wire, and after all that, I'm going to set all the like the preset options in the ECU and try to crank her up. I just got done bleeding the clutch. I just ran a brake line from that side all the way around to there. It doesn't look the greatest. They didn't have the exact line that I had wanted. I was gonna go like up and this way and make it look pretty, but the line that they had, whatever, it works. So I have the brake lines on, the clutch is bled, temporary battery stuff. This is the fuel pump wire. I just got done doing the settings in the screen for the Terminator. Still looks like crap. Went back and watched the video on the wiring, and yeah, definitely screwed up leaving those plugs. I'm gonna cut those out and redo that whole thing. We do have lights. Got a little small fuel pump going on. I just did the settings in the ECU, and let's try it. Try that again. All right. That tack's gonna be off because it's the 6-cylinder tack. That's enough of that. I just put coolant in it, but I'll show you. But I'm still waiting. My buddy's gonna drop off the steam port tube so I can connect it from here to here, and he's still at work, so I can only fill it to the top of the heads there. But so that's about as much as we're gonna run it. But yeah, look at that, it fires up. Getting real close. They make a battery that is the size of a motorcycle battery. This is 800 cold cranking amps. I think I'm going to try that out. Hopefully it works. It's a little tiny guy. I'm going to shove it in the corner, make a shield for it, and hopefully that works. Or I'll do what Andrew did and get a lawnmower battery. We'll figure it out. Honestly though, I didn't think it was going to fire up, so. Got mostly everything together. She runs, did a little more wiring. Gonna try to attempt to back this thing up and test out the gears and stuff, and if it moves around, fixed a couple oil leaks too. If it moves around, tomorrow I'm gonna try to go to the dyno, even though I'm really unprepared, but just to get some kind of a tune on it so I can drive the car around. Probably just whatever the gates make, real low. I think it's like 7 pounds. And then I can do the E85 tune and all that later for the flex fuel. So here I go. That was pretty amazing. Made it all the way to the parking lot, didn't break down, didn't have any leaks when I got done, and it still ran, and I rolled up the windows, the power. It was a good day. I like to look at the size comparison. This truck's name is Goliath, and my car's not David, but it don't want to race. So I'm pretty happy. I got a headliner in this thing. I don't know if I showed you guys before. Just set the center console down and everything fits underneath, even with the big mess of wiring. So that's pretty cool. I want to get the rest of the interior put in. I got the lights and everything, and the little hooks and stuff like that. These guys. So I guess after I go get it tuned, that'll be the next process. I got some nice new floor mats and the quarter windows for it. Then I'm gonna take her to get painted. So hopefully she won't be a big old piece of junk. So I almost forgot. I have to go hook up the wastegates for the boost, so I don't run, you know, all the boost. I have to go get a couple of these guys. So I'm gonna take the old 5.5, which is pretty much my new daily. This thing hasn't run in so long, I forgot I shouldn't leave the keys in it. I just went to the store, like, keys, everything unlocked. Like, okay. I mean, it kind of looks like it doesn't run though, so whatever. So I just noticed I have some wet there, but we just bled all the brakes and everything, so that could be residual because the tires, if you can see, it's all wet around the rim. The tires were also just sitting in some brake fluid, but everything else looks pretty dry. So for now, I'm gonna get rid of this guy and put in a barb fitting. Maybe later when I run some more boost, I can change it back over, but for now, probably gonna run about 7 pounds, whatever the gates are at, and that should be enough. I'm just gonna run some regular old vacuum line, some zip ties, should be fine.
So that was all pretty neat. What's left for this thing?
Well, we have to go get an alignment, and I guess I got to raise her up because earlier I drove it to the gas station and I almost bottomed out on the hill. So then I went over there, and if you see the road, how it like has that little tiny hump on the left side, yeah, I scraped coming in there too.
So it's a bit low.
Yeah, I thought we already raised it enough, but I guess not. Like, I want it low, but I still want it drivable, so
I guess you just keep going till it doesn't scrape.
let's just slam the back down and call it a day. I can get up the hill, I just have to drop the clutch. I was pulling it in, I just like left my foot off the clutch without hitting the gas and left a couple little marks.
So next up, you got to get an alignment.
Yeah. Look at my wheels.
Oh man, they're not even close.
They were really bad before. They were like
the I don't know, lol.
Yeah, so he said we're gonna go do like some street driving and make sure everything's good, and then we're gonna go to the dyno. So make sure it don't fall apart on the dyno.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'm gonna have to go up that. Probably gonna have to like adjust fuel pressure and stuff like that, but that's it for this episode, guys. Yeah, if you guys want to like, subscribe, go ahead. If not, that's cool too. Next time, hopefully this thing will be at the dyno and not do anything terrible, like, you know, knocking on wood. Yeah, hopefully it stays together and does good. I have a nice ghetto battery here. I fixed that. Looking to get a mini battery for it. That's it. Hopefully she makes some good numbers on stock gates. Don't really want to turn it up yet. I don't have the E85 sensor or nothing like that wired in, so it's just gonna be pretty much a bass tune to putt it around on the street or tear it up on the street, either way. See you next time. Anyways, there was a fly on my tee, so I snuck up on that little sumbee and I said, BAM, motherfucker. Crispy. I don't know why you pulled me over, officer.
It's medicinal.
First off, that was a burnout.